Let's bang! Let's go! Finally! It took the ninth inning, but it still happened. The Mets get the job done. They win 8-3. What a comeback. Finally, we get a magical moment again for the Amazons this season. Spam those W's in the chat. How's it going, everybody? Guys, I was so ready to rant again about another brutal Mets loss, another brutal series loss, but no, they defy the odds. They come out, they tied in the ninth with really what was a borderline, not a double. I don't care. I'm taking that, guys. I apologize for the visuals for a second. Let me get those W's in the chat right now, everybody. That is what I want to see. Mets win tonight. What a massive victory this was for them. I don't care that it's against the Cincinnati Reds. They needed to get the job done. They got the job done. Oh, this feels good. This feels really good. This is the exact type of momentum this team has been desperately needing for so long. Ride this into home against the Miami Marlins, folks. We have so much to deep dive. So much to talk about. We're taking callers later tonight, too. We got so much to get into here for Wardy's post-game show. Again, my apologies once more, guys, about the visuals. I know that they dropped for a minute. Just give it a second. It'll pick back up. But I want to know, what is everyone's reactions to tonight's victory for the Mets? Again, winning 8-3 over the Cincinnati Reds. This was such a snooze fest for the majority of the game for the Amazons. They just did not have much going at all offensively. They were anemic with runners in scoring position. This same narrative continued time and time again. But then Starling Marte gets himself a double down the third baseline, slightly over the bag. We'll take it. It scores Nimmo. It ties the game. You go in extras and you put up a 5-piece on Cincy. That's what you gotta do. This is the momentum that you need. Hype in the chat, baby. Let's effing go. Woo! I'm amped. I'm absolutely amped. Let's go. Oh, my God. Who's getting no sleep tonight? This guy, that's who. No sleep for me. That's what's going to happen. I am just so pumped up. This again, guys, I've been saying it. We literally ranted last night after the Mets could not muster one measly run against the Cincinnati Reds. When Bandback's on the bump, he gives you 11 Ks and no earned runs over 6. He can't even score a run. The Mets literally took them to the ninth to get more than 2 runs today. But by God, I will take it. I cannot emphasize this enough, how important it was for the Mets tonight to get on the right foot. Again, it wasn't the prettiest game. It was ugly for the vast majority, but this is what we need. This is what we need. This is what this team needs. And man, does it feel good. I'm enjoying every second now of the Mets to get this type of comeback victory. This victory, if I'm trying to think off the top of my head, guys, I don't think the Mets have had a victory this prominent, this much of a nice rally there in the ninth, then in the extras, really since what? A game against Philly or a game against the Cardinals? This is up there for me. Not in the sense of deficits per se, but just how insane this feeling is, knowing that the Mets, again, for the vast majority of this game, had nothing going. And guys, we're going to be breaking down here in a second everything that you guys need to know about this game, how the Mets get to this point to rally the way that they did. And of course, after that, I'll start to answer all your comments, questions, and concerns here in the live show. People on replay, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, how you feel about this Mets victory as well. And don't hesitate from smashing that like and subscribe button. Help us get 100 likes for the first short-term goal. We're trying to get 300 by the end of the live show and 16K subs for the next short-term goal here in WardyNYM. And we will be taking some live callers before we wrap up tonight's show, which will be going on for a little bit. But again, everybody, I want to know, how you feeling? I'm feeling electric. This team, Dom Smith, thank you. But you know who deserves the most credit? I think we all can be honest here. The man that deserves the most credit for tonight's victory is not Brandon Nimmo. It's not Dom Smith. It's not Starling Marte. It's not Pete Alonso. It is Adonis Medina. He has been a revelation for this Mets bullpen. And no one and their mother gives nearly enough credit to relievers that can eat you crucial innings when you do not get a good start from your starter. That was the case with David Pearson tonight. We saw that. Couldn't go even 4 innings. I don't know if it was him not getting much sleep with just having a baby. No less, Adonis Medina comes in. He gives you 3 strong, only 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 0 earned runs. This game probably wouldn't have been nearly as close as what it was if it wasn't for the magic that was Adonis Medina coming in, shining the door for 3 straight innings for the Mets. That was absolutely massive. So shout out to Adonis. I don't even know what the status of him for the bullpen is going to be once the likes of Jacob deGrom is eventually back in this rotation, because they'll have to make another move then, or even before that, I should say, when Jankowski's ready to come back, even though I think Enter Inciarte is going to be gone by that point. No less, I'm pumped up. Shout out Adonis Medina. What an effing stud he was. Let me address a quick donation, guys, and then we will go forward. I'm sweating bullets. I don't care. This is an electric win. This is exactly what this Mets team has been needing for what feels like a month straight now. They just haven't gotten anything of a consistent momentum. And by no means is this going to guarantee the Mets go on a winning streak, but what this does tell you is that this is something huge for the Mets to wrap up a series dub after what looks like, literally until the last couple outs, a series loss in Cincy against a bottom feeder in the Reds. So to come out, to do this, to rally late, you have to be feeling good now before this 4-game set against the Miami Marlins. But Jaden, thank you so much for that donation. Hype in the chat to you. Let's get some love and hype in the chat to Jaden. How do I feel about Alvarez as the number 2 prospect now? I'm pumped up about it. I love Francisco Alvarez. I cannot wait for the day that this man is playing in Queens, hopefully sooner than later. No less, thank you so much for that. My goodness, though, guys, let's talk about this game, shall we? Let's get some hype. And then, like I said, guys, if you want me to start taking callers later in the show, I'll gladly do that. But let's just talk it up right now, folks. Give me 1 second before we go forward, everybody. All right, folks, so what happened in the Mets victory tonight, right? How were they able to rally the way that they did? How did we get to this point? Well, when you look at Warriors' top 5, we have so many standouts, and the majority of these numbers truly came that we saw right towards the end of the game. Robert Powers, thank you so much for the donation. Hype in the chat to you. Hype in the chat to Robert, great supporter here on the channel. Greatly appreciate that. And I'm not going to calm down. I'm going to be screaming my head off for quite a while here, because the Mets, this entire game, it started off early, and you know the narrative, guys. If you've been following along with the Mets, you know their story. When the Mets score in the first 2 innings, odds are they're going to win that game. And honestly, I got to be honest, even though that didn't feel like that they were going to win this game, they still did in the end. And it started off, however, Brandon Nimmo, first batter, first hit by pitch of the game. It's a 100-mile-per-hour heater that he takes inside. He ties Michael Conforto for the most hit by pitches in Mets history with 50 apiece. He takes his base, and Brandon Nimmo would be the story of this game, folks, in so many ways. He gets on base. Pete Alonso with a base knock. Alonso had a phenomenal day at the plate outside of popping up there after the Mets tied the game there in the top of the 9th. It would have been nice to add more, but it is what it is. You're not going to hit every single time you have your at-bat. Alonso gets hit there. And then what does Jeff McNeil do? Jeff McHits, baby, back in the 5-hole. That's where he needs to stay. Jeff needs to stay right in the middle of this line, folks. That is where the Mets are going to have consistent success. I got to be honest, that's just how I feel. Jeff has been so clutch runners in scoring position. I know that I grounded into a double play later in the game. But point is that Jeff in the 5 spot, that's what I like. He has been huge there, and he was to give the Mets an early 1-0 lead with that RBI single we saw there in the first. Then we get to the bottom of the first, folks, and Jonathan India gets a hit by pitch. Brandon Drury with a single, but David Pearson thankfully was able to get out of the jam unscathed with 2 on, no out there. Okay, David again didn't have his prettiest stuff today, nor did this entire Mets, not just rotation, but pitching staff as a whole. The Mets surrendered 7 walks today when they themselves only got 1 walk, which actually ended up being an X factor, and that was the Luis Gourmet being intentionally walked, which led to James McCann getting that RBI base knock there that we saw in the 10th. But before we get there, talking about the steps to this point, thank you so much for that donation, Orphanage. I'll be getting to it shortly. You see the Mets get out of the first unscathed. That's great. Up 1-0. In the second, however, you see David Pearson is already starting to labor with his walks, right? And that leads to Nick Senzel with a no-doubt 2-run bomb to give the Reds an early 2-1 lead. Now, at this juncture in the game, I personally, as a fan, am not too concerned. I know the Mets offense has been so inconsistent, but I'm feeling confident that they're going to come back. They're going to rally here. However, we see there the Mets in the third, starting Marte with an infield single was challenged, but it was called safe because Marte knows when he's safe at first. Alonso with a single, and then Jeff McNeil grounds into a double play. This was the start of the Mets consistently not scoring with runners in scoring position. A lot of fans are already jumping off the cliff thinking, oh, the season has ended. We're not even halfway through the game. The Braves haven't even finished their game yet tonight, which would, of course, end up in a victory. But a lot of Mets fans writing it off, and I have all your receipts and Twitter. Don't get me wrong, guys. You guys are absolutely terrible anytime the Mets are not playing to your standard, right? To what you would hope at least. No less, we fast forward there in the bottom of the third. Brandon Drury to base knock. He steals second base, and then he advances to third on a pass ball. And then Kyle Farmer, who's back off the injured list, was out of the line for a little bit, gets his 40th RBI this season, an RBI double. And at that point, it's a 2-run lead for the Cincinnati Reds, 3-1 to be exact. And us Mets fans, including myself, not too happy after the Mets just wasted an opportunity that past half inning with Jeff McNeil grounding into a double play with runners in scoring position. We go now to the fourth inning, folks. One of the biggest names that you will see tonight that no one is going to talk about nearly enough, in my opinion, because how inconsistent he has been. It hasn't changed the fact that without this man, the Mets do not win this ball game, and that's Dominic Smith stepping up, getting himself a nice leadoff double there in the fourth. Nito with a broken bat RBI. You love to see that. The Mets tack on. They're down by only a run at that point there in the fourth. We get to the bottom of the fourth, however, and more runs continue. At least, not runs, but more issues. Nick Senzel with a walk. Albert Amora Jr., the former Met, now foe, with a walk. And then David Pearson, you see a beautiful pick, however. Tomas Nido makes a beautiful throw that he's done twice now in this series. Again, my apologies for the visuals dropping right now. Guys, just give it a minute. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. If you guys are as pumped up as I am about this massive series victory, massive 8-3 win tonight against the Cincinnati Reds, everybody, you love to see that. But there in the fourth, Tomas Nido, for the second time over the past couple of games, throws out a runner at second, this time getting Nick Senzel sleeping at second base. Lindor with a nice pick there, and just like that, the Mets, thankfully, if it wasn't for that, they probably would have surrendered a run there. David Pearson allows another walk to Papirski, their bum of a catcher. I don't even know who that man is. And just like that, he's out of the game. And then Mike Moustakas gets the strikeout. However, Pearson exits. Then you see Medina come in the game, and this is where Medina does his magic, folks. I cannot say enough good things about Donis Medina. Now has a 3-even ERA out of the bullpen for the Mets this year. Has been that innings eater so much, so consistent when the Mets have needed him, especially in either blowout games or games where you just do not have your starter going. Don't worry, Michael, we will surely bring in one of my bunnies before the end of the show. I promise you that. But Medina strikes out the former Met, now foe, and Brandon Drury to end the inning, getting out of that unscathed with multiple guys on. We get to the fifth. Pete Alonso with a double. Jeff McNeil with a line out, and Dom Smith with a line out. So the whole point was, and the reason why I'm talking about really inning by inning, is that the Mets had opportunities every single inning. They're facing Graham Ashcraft. It sounds like a creative player. No, this guy pumps 100 on the gun, but doesn't have good swing and miss stuff. The Mets had 16 hits tonight, folks. They had roughly 10 hits on Ashcraft. We're only able to get 2 earned runs off of him in 6 innings. It was so frustrating. And the narrative continued with this team. They're able to hit, but they cannot hit and clutch up when it matters most. The Mets the past month, everybody, have been one of the worst teams in all baseball with runners in scoring position. It has been something that's been going on for weeks to weeks yet. And it's disgusting. It needs to change, especially in the batter's box there in Cincinnati against these Reds. Thankfully, that would change when it would matter most later in this one, everybody. We get to the sixth. Jeff McNeil makes a beautiful throw that I'm sure many of you guys saw that from left field. He was playing out left when Gourmet was at second today. Beautiful throw to get a drill out Nick Senzel there at second base. Trying to like a single into a double. So for the second time tonight, Senzel with some poor base running awareness. Again, that has been the story of this series for sure. Alonso with a base knock there in the seventh. The Mets would not do anything with it, however, which was frustrating. And then we fast forward, we get to the ninth, folks. Brandon Nimmo with a base knock. Starring Marte with an RBI double. And we see from there, Eduardo Escobar was really pissed off of a pitch up and in on him. He would not get a single that one. That inning, but he was not happy with Moreta, who was the reliever that blew it tonight for, yes, the Cincinnati Reds, at least there after Hunter Strickland left, because Francisco Lindor, it has a ground now to shift over the runner, and Pete Alonso pops it up, so the Mets are able to tie it there with that RBI double, thanks to Marte there in the ninth, not able to do more. Adam Ottavino comes in, he's an absolute stud that we see in the bottom of the ninth. He wasn't available to pitch yesterday. That's fine because tonight he comes in, gets 2 strikeouts without an effing problem. The Mets get to the 10th, and you see the story there. I got to take off the jacket. I'm swaying bullets, folks. But that is where everything truly unravels for the Cincinnati Reds. Thinking that they had this game in their grasp, they were getting out-hit like crazy. The Reds did nothing. They had a 116 expected batting average. They were absolute bums, and they were for literally this entire series, but the issue was that the Mets equally were as bummy, especially in last night's loss when Mad Max pitching a gem. However, we get to the 10th, and that is where everything unravels once more. Dom Smith with a beautiful RBI double to give the Mets the lead. Thank you. Ender Inciarte's on second. Is the pinch runner there? You'll love to see that. Bleav Gourmet's intentionally walked with runners on second and third, less than 2 outs. They're betting that James McCann is going to strike out or ground into a double play, which I don't blame them. All the numbers will tell you that he would do exactly that. However, McCann does the complete opposite. McCann does something that us Mets fans, I feel, I've only seen once or twice this year? And that's a McCann RBI single, a clutch single, to tack onto the lead to give the Mets a 5-3 lead at that juncture. And they put the cherry on top, WardyNYM, for the second time in this series. First time was on 4th of July. That was in the series finale. A no doubt 3-run, Dane Don, pimp job, dick down all the way to right field and out of the park. That is a 3-run bomb. That gives the Mets the 8-3 victory. And then Edwin Diaz in the non-safe situation shuts the door. What else would Edwin do? He has been absolutely unhittable. He went between 100 and 101, even upwards of 103. It felt like on the gun. He was disgusting. 3 strikeouts, 3 batters he faced. Edwin has been elite. This man is on another level this season, and the Mets, just like that, get back to 20 games above 500. They lose no ground on the Braves, no ground on the Phillies, nothing. I think the Phillies might have even lost tonight to the Nationals. I could be wrong. If I am, let me know. But what I do know is that even with the Mets and everything that they did wrong tonight, because do not get me wrong, this Mets team, let's go down the list, folks, in order, right? Brandon Nimmo, he's one of my Warriors top 5. When Nims goes 1 for 5 with the bomb, the 3 RBIs, the 3 runs. You are my number 2 star. The only reason why you're not number 1 is because Adonis Medina was the X factor tonight. Cannot tell me otherwise. So proud of what Medina was able to do, right? We get Starry Marte. He was in my top 5 as well as my number 5 star. 2 for 6 with the RBI and the double. A double that I really shouldn't even been a double because it didn't look fair when you saw it from review. No less, not complaining. We will take that to the bank every single day of the week. You go down the list further. Francisco Lindor, what a terrible day at the plate for Lindor. Had a great first game in this series, won 2 for 4, with a couple RBIs and a couple runs scored. However, Lindor today, like yesterday, another 0 for. He is now I believe, 0 for 9 over his past 2 games. Need better from Lindor, a man who's hit so well. And Cincy, during his time with Cleveland, was not pleased with what I saw from him. Yesterday, I wasn't expecting much because he can't hit from the right side of the plate if it smacked him across the face. But him back as a lefty today for the majority of the entire outing today, couldn't do nothing. That was disappointing to see. I want Lindor to be better. I expect him to be better against the Marlins, where he's had plenty of success so far this season. Alonso, who was my number 4 star tonight, how can he not be? You can even say that Alonso should be higher, but the reason why I have Alonso at number 4 is 1, Alonso did not clutch up when the Mets could have used a potential game-winning run there at the 9th. He popped it up right to the backstop. Yeah, that's not going to do it for me. I love the other 4 base knocks. That's great to see, Pete, but again, I need you to clutch up when this team needs more runs, and he wasn't able to do it, but no less, when you go for 5, you were in my top 5 1,000%. Alonso 4 for 5 with the double. Then you have Jeff McNeil, who is not on my list, but he got the run scored starting for the Mets tonight, going 1 for 5 in total. Dom Smith, my number 3 star, as I said earlier. Dom 2 for 5 with the RBI, the 2 doubles, to the 2 runs scored. Dom, huge props to Dom. 221 average, 624 OPS. Not the prettiest numbers this year, and I don't expect Dom Smith to even be in New York past the trade deadline. But I'm so proud of Dom to step up. He's been hitting the ball better as of late, folks. Who knows what the case would have been even in yesterday's game if Dom had to start over JD Davis, in which what did JD do? Absolutely nothing, because he's a hard hit, hard bail rate Kane that just literally grounds out and swings right through fastballs right down the dick. So if I'm picking between the 2 right now, I'm favoring the hot hand. That is Dom. That is the man that I hope to see more often than not in this series against the Marlins. If we're debating between him and JD Davis, who's better right now, I got to go with the hot hand, and that is Dom. Rightfully so. Eduardo Escobar won 1 for 5 tonight as well. Not the prettiest, but he did at least have a base knock. Not complaining there. Bleav Gourmet won 1 for 4 with a run scored. Gourmet has come back down to earth. He has a 292 average right now. It's okay, though. I expected some regression on his front. And then you see as well Tomas Nido, who I got to say, if it wasn't for the Mets scoring as much as they did in the 10th, Tomas Nido deserves so much credit in tonight's game, folks. Nido got that clutch RBI, the broken bat opposite field RBI to give the Mets their second run of the game. He had that huge drill out there at second base to get Nick Senzel sleeping. And if it wasn't for that throw, there's a solid chance the Mets surrender at least 1 run for David Pearson still in the 4th before he exits tonight's game. So huge props to Tomas Nido. He looked really strong plate, and even when he wasn't getting those hits, Nido was really driving the ball well. His barrel rate was fantastic tonight. He was getting some deep flyouts that were just short of getting out of the park. They were falling on the warning track to both the right and left side of that outfield. So huge props to Tomas Nido. I was very impressed with him. He deserved it. And again, Nido, for debating between him and McCann, I know who I want starting more often than not. As much as that was awesome to see McCann clutch up with that huge RBI single as a pinch hitter there, I will give him all the credit in the world for it. Nido still has been providing some strong at-bats for this team. I hope we see a little bit more at-bats for him, and not just because the fact that McCann's back shouldn't dictate Nido not getting playing time. I think Nido has deserved it, and until McCann can prove more from what we saw tonight going forward, I want Nido. I really do. Nido, again, slider down the way. This guy's swinging through everything, but Nido has been able to grind out some big at-bats that we've seen as of late, and again, not just that, but has been able to drill guys out plenty as of late, which is awesome there from the catching position. And once more, guys, I've said it twice already in the show. I apologize once more for the visuals dropping here in the live show. I've been having connection issues for a while now. I do apologize for that. However, it's only going to last a minute, so don't worry. But more than anything, guys, as we're recapping this game, this big Mets victory, I'll be getting your donations soon. Thank you guys all so much for them again. But I want to know, to everybody in the chat right now, guys, who was your biggest standout tonight? What players stood out the most to you? Because for me personally, I still have to go with Adonis Medina. It's impossible for me not to. But for you guys, what do you pick? Because again, Brandon Nimmo, a great choice. Dom Smith, Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, even Tomas Nido. I mean, you could really make arguments for them all to a certain extent. But some updates I would like to share with you Mets fans as well before I start to answer all your comments, questions, and concerns here in the live show is one, Travis Jankowski, who looks like he will be back for the Mets against the Atlanta Braves next week, something that I do not have up here as well. Speaking of the Atlanta Braves, Max Scherzer, who was originally scheduled to pitch this Sunday in the series finale against the Marlins, with Sandy Alcantara on the bump for Miami, he is now pushed to Monday so he can pitch against the Atlanta Braves, that being a Mad Max Scherzer. And while Max hasn't had the prettiest numbers in his career against the Braves, I still love the odds of him grinding out and having a good outing there in Atlanta against these Braves. So very pumped up to see him there. I'll be describing that more and sharing my raw thoughts about Max Scherzer that I'll be recording in tonight's podcast. In case you guys don't know as well, I have a Mets podcast. It's called Bleav in Queens, presented by the Bleav Network. It's myself and co-host Joe Serralo, and our third co-host in a couple episodes is in fact going to be a former New York Met. So stay tuned for that announcement. You will see it here on the YouTube channel. You'll see it wherever you get your podcasts as well. But new pod breaking down this series victory, trade rumors, and so many other topics will be coming out around 6 a.m. Eastern time and 12 p.m. Eastern time for the video. The audio will be 6 a.m. however, so stay tuned for those guys. Let's get some more hype in the chat for that. But to Jacob deGrom, going back to Jankowski for a second. Jankowski, who's going to be back starting Monday or around that time in the Braves series, he as well went 2 for 3 tonight for AAA Syracuse, including a home run, and got a walk or two. He got on base a lot, so love to see that from Travis. Not known from the home run ball, but he definitely provided some offense. No, it's not going to be Jerry Blevins either. Jerry has his own pod with my buddy Jolly for Shea Station. The co-host is going to be someone who's not currently a podcast co-host with any other Mets content creator or anything of that nature. So no, it's going to be someone that will be new for you guys podcast wise, but it's someone that you all know very well. Everyone knows who this man's going to be, and I'm very excited to have him in here very soon. DeGrom, however, was going to be pitching next this Friday. Yesterday, I apologize on my graphic and the rant stream last night. I had it saying that DeGrom, his next start would be Sunday. I got the dates confused, so I want to put this here again to emphasize he will be pitching again upwards of 40 or so pitches this Friday, folks, in single A for Port St. Lucie once again. Then after that, he will get ramped up even further. And at that point, he'll probably only be 2 or tops 3 more rehab starts away from returning to the Mets rotation. And then the Mets score, again, the biggest one tonight, scoring 5 effing earned runs there in the 10th to win it. That was just absolutely massive. I'm electric. I'm feeling electric. I know you guys are too. But again, you guys have been beautiful. Let's get those comments, questions, and concerns here in a second. But before we go forward, I just want to thank everyone once more that's been chiming in the live show as we're ranting, breaking down about the Mets winning a massive one tonight. 8-3 is their final series victory here over these Cincinnati Reds, folks. So make sure to smash that like and subscribe button again. Help us get 200 likes for the next short-term goal. We're trying to get 300 by the end of the live show. And 16K subs if you enjoy consistent Mets content like this. Post-game live shows, podcasts after every single series. Again, presented by the Bleav Network on on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, individual videos, trade topics, trade content, prospect content, all that fun stuff is what you will be seeing here consistently on the channel. Per usual, there's a reason why we are the largest Mets platform on YouTube that isn't directly affiliated with the Mets or SNY, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you guys all so much for that. And again, I know this game was not pretty. There were a lot of criticisms that deserved to be from tonight's game. The offense was anemic, and guys, I literally had the thumbnail. I had everything set up as if the Mets were going to lose tonight, and I was I was beyond pissed off. I was patting some Mountain Dew, ready to be amped up in a negative fashion, and thankfully the Mets came back and they rallied in a positive fashion, and that's just absolutely nuts. I'm so proud of this team to be able to rally the way that they did. Again, I understand that this is a Mets team that has their issues. They're the farthest thing from perfect, and they are still a team that needs to continue to rally the best they can in scenarios like this. But I'm happy by the fact that they at least, at minimum, were able to tie this game and to really blow the doors open when it mattered most there in the 10th. Because if this Mets team tied it and lost in extras as well, I would have been even more pissed off than prior. I really would have been, guys. And I know you would have felt the exact same way. So, huge one from the Mets. This is the type of momentum that they needed to be riding, and hopefully they will be able to do just that going forward, folks. Okay, folks, so now let's get to those comments, questions, and concerns. All right, one more thing I do want to double check here. Just bear with me 1 second, everybody. And we are, 50 likes away from 150 here. 50 likes away from 200 in the live show. Thank you guys so much for that. Continue smashing those buttons. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, like I said, I didn't see everybody in the chat what your response was. Give me a simple yes or no here from tonight's victory, okay? Would you agree or disagree that Adonis Medina was the biggest X factor in this game for the Mets? If you disagree, that's fine. Just let me know who is the biggest X factor for you, because now I'm trying to follow on more in the chat and see how everyone's personal opinions are on the Mets and their big victory tonight. So let me see it. Greatly appreciate it. And again, thank you guys all so much in advance. Okay, at least let's see. We got some people saying yes. We got some people saying no. Some people think that it was Nimmo. Again, Nimmo was huge as well. I think they're 1A, 1B in the sense of like who was the biggest factors for the Mets victory tonight. So I don't disagree whatsoever. Again, there are plenty of positive picks. For me, again, it's highlighted by Medina and then Nimmo's right behind him. But again, 1A, 1B. I'm not complaining either way, folks. But I know that we do have a bunch of donations. I know that we have a bunch of people chopping out the bits to get their comments, questions, and concerns answered, and to get some live callers in for tonight's show as well. So we're about to do just that. However, guys, if you are just chiming in, make sure to go back earlier in the show if you want to see my initial reaction, as I'll be expressing more on what was a massive, and I truly mean massive, series victory for the Mets tonight. Winning 8-3 is your final against these Cincinnati Reds. And looking through the lineup, guys, 16 hits. By all means, if the Mets did not score at minimum 8 runs off of 16 hits, I would have been pretty pissed off. So thankfully, they were able to do that. But no less, let's get to those comments, donations, all that fun stuff. People on replay, this is where I'll be cutting things off. So guys, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel after this massive series victory for the Mets, winning 8-3 in a rally fashion? Are you as pumped up as I am, or do you think that this Mets team is still ways away from having you feel comfortable? Again, I know that this Mets team, even with being 20 games above 500, they need to perform better. They need to make sure that they don't put themselves in position like they did tonight against an absolute bum, a bottom feeder of a team in the Cincinnati Reds. Let's say it how it is. It's an absolute fact. So it's important that the Mets avoid these situations going forward where we don't have to be dying with the last couple outs to provide and see what's going to happen with them. However, what I do know is important with this Mets team is, again, this is a momentum swing. And what is good about momentum swings? You have 4 games starting tomorrow against the Miami Marlins, and then you have a big series next week against the Atlanta Braves. So hopefully this is a positive swing in the right direction. Guys, let's get those comments. People down below, make sure to let me know all your thoughts on this big win for the Mets. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Time to answer those donations and all that fun stuff. But for people on replay, this is where I'll be cutting things off.